Hello and welcome to Unbounded Growth, a podcast that challenges you to grow and become a better version of yourself. My name is Mark Allen, and together with my friend Adam, we share thoughts and ideas from the books that we read and how they enhance our personal growth and development. We also host other readers and leaders. We learn from their experiences through our discussions. Our episodes air every Tuesday at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time. Thank you for listening in, and let's grow together. Unbounded Growth.
Hello and happy Tuesday. Welcome back to Unbounded Growth. It's a very exciting week. It's a really great week here in Dallas, Fort Worth, where we are located in our mini studio. And unfortunately for this Tuesday, I will just be by myself. I won't be with my friend and co-host Marc Alain, whom I missed dearly. He's not feeling well and he hasn't been feeling really 100% lately. So if you all can just keep him in your prayer as he transition, as he go through his healing process. As we remember, he had a torn Achilles a couple of months ago when he was playing basketball, and that has been bugging him for the last several months. And this time he was in so much pain, so he couldn't make it to this episode. And we do apologize for last week. In Dallas, there was a crazy winter storm that could not allow us to get together and be able to record the episode for last week. However, this week we are back. We are back in full strength, and we are really excited to be with you again and to go through this series that we are developing together, the series on leadership. Leadership is so important because you cannot be successful without leadership. You cannot lead, or you cannot be such a great person without leadership at the personal level and also at the organizational level. If you have a family, you need leadership to lead a family. You need to be a strong leader for you to leave a legacy to your kids and to your grandkids and so on, and to be an inspiration to your neighbors and so on. To even be a great neighbor, you need leadership. One of the great stories on leadership that is so important that you should hear out there is the story of McDonald's. Anyone who is familiar with the story of McDonald's, they are two brothers who invented McDonald's. I believe it was Dylan and Morris, I believe. McDonald, Darian or Dylan, one of them, of both of them, they created McDonald's, such a great company, such a great idea. They tried to franchise the company, and they couldn't even reach 15 franchises. They were great people at managing things, but they were not such great leaders to create systems that work. So leadership is a very important thing when you want to be successful in anything that you are doing. And a little bit of a personal story again. I did not know what leadership was a couple years ago. I came up, I'm a very motivated person. I have a lot of energy, and I was born with a natural sense of bringing people together. That is just who I am ever since. And I was born in the type of family that I come from, where we are pushed to excel and to lead others and to inspire other people. That's just how our parents, or my dad especially, raised us to be. However, I did not really understand what it meant to be a leader until I was put in front of an organization that I have to lead. And at the time, if to anyone who knows the story of Bora Technology, is a story, Bora started where I just graduated from college, or at least the current version of Bora, because the very first version of Bora started when I was still in college, when I came up with an idea that was innovative, and I thought of the concept of Bora, which in Swahili, it just means better. A better company, a better things for Africa, and so on. However, I did not understand leadership back then. I was a 19-year-old, I think 19 or 20-year-old, get into leading people, trying to put a team together, and so on, and just with a lot of courage that I was naturally born with. I started putting people together, but I did not know where to take them. I did not know what are the steps and what's to follow, and what would be so important for them to know as I'm leading them, what could actually impact them and impact their personal life and create enough influence, because leadership is influence. Nothing less, nothing more. It's purely, simply interest. So it's simply influence, and without influence, you really cannot get people from point A to point B. You're going to have a lot of people resist you, or you might have a lot of people not following. You might lose people on the way. And that is not the attitude of a leader. Leaders, they are not there to lose people. For any Christians who are listening, and just everybody can benefit from this, but Jesus Christ has showed the essence of leadership. He showed basically a model of how great leadership is, in the places where he said that a shepherd would leave the 99 so he can go catch the one. That is how leadership works. You cannot be leaving people along the way and think that you are a leader. So you have to know how to influence people and not lose a single one of them. And that's what we're going to be exploring again today. And we're going to start climbing the ladders in John Maxwell's book. And just to finish up the story that I was talking about on Bora technology, the second part of Bora, or the current version of Bora technology that people can see now and have learned to love, came up with just a lot of courage from my side. I was very courageous, and I woke up one morning with a lot of courage. I told myself, okay, I wanted to launch a company. I had a vision, I had a plan, and so on. However, I didn't have the people. So I started telling myself, and again, with a lot of courage there, that, hey, this is a great idea. This is what I can do, and this is what I can push for. And I started recruiting and so on. But the place where I started realizing the importance of growing as a leader, or the importance of leadership, is when it came to the part of money. I just graduated college. I barely had any capital. In fact, I had no money whatsoever. And the world was about to face a pandemic. So that means everyone was about to go in a crisis. So nobody want to give you money, and there's an apocalypse that is there. Everybody's facing that, and we didn't know what tomorrow held. So it was very hard. And one thing was for sure that's actually certified me, or that's made me that assured me even more, is the fact that I could stand tall and start leading other people without paying them. That's one of the toughest things to do, is to be able to lead without actually making any payments to people. And that was tough. Our employees worked at Bora, I believe, anywhere between 8 to 9 months without receiving any salary. They showed up every day. Every meeting they were there. They were on time. And we worked through that until we could now be able to afford a little bit of cash. And then we started sharing, and slowly but surely, I started putting them first, making sure that they're comfortable. And today, Bora Technology is standing. And of course, we have now reached the peak. We keep on climbing. We believe that in the future, we can be one of the greatest companies in Africa, and maybe not, and why not around the world. Now, to go back in leadership, today we're going to start climbing. We're going to climb the first level of leadership. And this is the level of position. It's so important to be in a position of leadership. Why? There's a few things that John Maxwell put together, some advantage that comes with being in leadership, with just being given a position. Of course, positional leaders, they tend to become bosses. So if you just stay in the position, you are a boss, you are a manager, you are not a leader, because you cannot create influence among the people that you are leading. People follow you in this stage because they have to, not because they want to follow you. And for that, there's a lot of consequences that you end up facing as a leader who is just there because they were placed. And John C. Maxwell actually tells a story about Claude, one of the farmers, where he was when he was appointed for his first position as a leader, as a pastor in a church and so on. And the entire organization, everybody could listen to Claude and not to John C. Maxwell, because John C. Maxwell was just appointed to be put there. And he was never the leader that people have accepted and people wanted to follow. So position gives you, put your foot inside the door, like through the door. However, what takes you from there is not just being in a position, is not just a label or a title that you receive, but what gets you through and keep you going forward is when you have created influence among your peers, among your coworkers, among people that you are supposed to lead. And this is very important. And John C. Maxwell say one thing, and I would like to quote him for that. He said that there was a time when people relied heavily on position to lead, which is no surprise when you consider that at one time, hereditary leadership positions were handed down from father to son, and it was a family business. So it's if you look at kings, if you look at even in some countries, presidents are passed down from the father to the son and so on. In fact, there's actually a joke in Congo, because Congo is one of those places where it actually happened, where we had the Kabila the father as a president, and when he passed, we had Kabila the son. And when Kabila the son had to leave power, the current president in Congo, people used to call, because since Kabila maintained his influence, even though he was not president anymore, people start cracking joke that the current president of Congo is Kabila the spirit, because the father had passed, the son had passed, and now we have Kabila the spirit actually there, which he maintained his influence. However, the new president, the new leader of Congo, had to take his own responsibility and his own leadership and create his own influence, which now it's even a huge crisis in Congo, because it's a challenge to just come and switch from being a positional leader and start moving forward as a leader, or as a person who creates influence, or who can speak and say something and other people can follow him. Now, there is a few, it's not all bad. It's not all bad to be a positional leader, or to be in a position of leadership, not a positional leader. Because when there's a thing about identity. Because when you're a positional leader, you think you identify yourself as just someone who is put there. You say, okay, I'm a positional leader, I'm a boss, and whatever I say, people have to just do it, and they don't even have to understand it, and so on. And sometimes you get stuck there. It becomes your identity. You become a positional leader. And we have to be avoiding that type of an identity to receive it. You are in the position of leadership. You are given a chance to lead. However, position is what actually can determine if you are a leader or not. Because when they put you there to lead, that's when you can now sort yourself out and start climbing the ladders of leadership. And John Maxwell gave a few advantages on why position is so important. And he said a leadership position is usually given to people because they have leadership potential. So what happened in a scenario will be that you are a person of great character and great skills. When you're in an organization, you have been working very hard. You are a person who show up on time. You are a person who everybody else, or at least the people in position of power in your organization, They see you as somebody they can rely on to do something. And that time, they appoint you, they give you a position to lead other people or to lead your organization or to lead your certain group in the organization. And at that time, it's because you have the potential, or you have shown that you have both the character and you have the skills that are required for that position, for you to be put in a position to lead. And remember, we say that a few times when Marc-Alain was here, that leadership is not a noun. Leadership is associated directly with the verb to lead. It's an action. You have to be moving into leadership. You have to be moving forward to lead other people. So this is very important for you to be looking into, and knowing that, of course, you've been appointed a manager. The road doesn't stop there. It's a process. You have to keep growing. Now, the best leaders promote people into leadership based on leadership potential. So when you are a leader, or when you've been appointed to leadership, there's something that you have to see. Of course, there are many ways that people make it into leadership. Some people make it by the means of family, seniority, like, we are looking for the oldest person in the room. Then you're given a position, credentials, knowledge. Like, knowledge is one of the things that's put you through. For example, and that's one thing that I've experienced before, and that's why I am mentioning it here, is the fact that I'm a person who I love to learn. I spend so many hours of my life learning. In fact, I'm getting a PhD, which shows that, or at least will be able to demonstrate that I am a continuous learner. I keep on learning every single day. However, something that has been very much confused is that the fact that I have knowledge does not, by default, drive me or drag me into leadership. It does not confirm that I am actually a leader and I should be leading other people. It's a myth that I have, since I am knowledgeable, since I have some entrepreneurship skills, that by default I'm a leader. Now, I have to climb, I have to move from that level to a level a way higher than that for me to be actually able to create influence among my peers and among people who would follow me. And the other thing that he talked about a leadership position means authority is recognized. This is so important. That's why starting off from being from a leadership position, from being placed as a leader or being put in a position to lead, is so important, because you have recognized authority. So at least you don't have to push through the mud to make it to at least at the very minimum level to be respected or for people to even listen to you. You are put in a position here for your authority to be recognized. Whenever you say something, people think, of course, for in a lot of organizations, when especially places where the organization is making money, so people have their paychecks and so on, they would at least try to listen to you and try to hear what you have to say. That's it. You are given a platform, if I can say, whenever you are a positional leader. And this is very important. Being given a platform, it's not everyone who gets that platform. You have shown skills, you have shown character, and now you are put in a platform. You are given a platform to have that access to lead other people. And as a new leader, you must use the authority you are given wisely to advance the team and help the people you lead. Do that, and your people will begin to give you even greater authority. When that happens, you gain leadership, not just a position. Your goal is, again, to influence people. Leadership is influence. No more, no less. If you cannot influence other people, you are not a leader. And I'm not talking about the social media type of leaders. Or if you're an influencer on social media and people can just put a thumb up, or you have 4 or 5 million people following you on Instagram, that does not make you a leader, because you don't have to lead them. Those people are not your responsibility. The 5 million people, they are not your responsibility. However, you have the responsibility. Whenever you're a leader, you have this responsibility to lead other people. And it's so important for you to actually develop leadership, for you to actually be a leader who influences other people. A leadership position is also an invitation to grow as a leader. And John C. Maxwell is saying here, one of the main requirements is personal growth. I learned this early in my life from my father, who loved to quote, "To whoever much is given, much shall be required." He believed that each of us had received a lot in life, and we had a responsibility to learn and grow so that we could make the most of it. And that is John C. Maxwell speaking of his father. And actually, funny enough, it's the same quote that my father used while raising us as leaders. My father believes we are Christian. So we grew up with a strong Christian influence in my family. And my father believed that for us to actually, for everything that we have received, all the hard work that he has put into us, much has been given to us, and much shall be required. My dad pushed us so much to grow. We're not even allowed the regular, I believe, like childhood and kids type of things. Imagine the type of games that we had at home. We had Scrabbles growing up. That's a game we played at home like the entire time. We barely, my dad never bought us a video game, ever. We used to go play video game at our friend's house. Our house, my dad was really tough with us. He was really strict. We had Scrabbles. My dad, we had a bunch of word hunt games, stuff like that. My little brother ended up becoming a lawyer because he beat all of us at Scrabbles, and he knew so many words. His vocabulary was extremely higher. Every one of us had a dictionary at home where we had to tell our parents, Dad, like how many words we have known every day. Of course, I've forgotten most of those words because I never cared much about French in growing up, and even until now. I do speak French. I love the language, but not as much as my siblings do. I do feel lucky to speak French because it adds value to who I am, but it's not really it's never been such a huge priority in my life. However, as I said, my siblings, one of my brothers, he picked it up, and being pushed that, hey, a lot of stuff has been given to you, and you have to be able to give that back. It is so important. So that is an essential part of leadership, personal growth. And there's a quote by Jim Rohn that is, I believe it's John C. Maxwell who's quoting Jim Rohn, and this is in another book. It's 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. And I believe he talks about, Jim Rohn says that the best gift I can give to others is my personal growth. I work on myself for you, for other people. And this is a character of a leader. A leader has to always be updating himself, and he has always be growing. There's another book that I'm reading right now. It's called Leadership in Turbulent Times. It's such a huge book. I've been reading this book for months, and since I've been also combining with other books, I try not to get very bored. I try to diversify my reading, so I'm not really I'm not really getting tired of one book or of reading. So if a book is too long, I take a break sometimes and switch to something else that I can just relax my brain a little bit and then go back to it. And leadership in turbulent time. There's a story there that I was reading about Theodore Roosevelt. Other people call him Teddy. And Theodore Roosevelt was one of the definition of such a great leader. I've been learning about their life and what they did on their personal growth. But if there's one leader in American history who had an intentional growth plan, who nothing happened by accident in his life, apart from his birth and the family in which he was born, which none of us actually can choose. Teddy worked on himself. He was born, he was not as strong. He was the weak guy. Even me, I might have been even stronger than Teddy at my age. Teddy was not as strong. He was intellectually strong, very smart guy. But even his dad used to tell him, because he came from a very wealthy family, even his dad used to tell him that, hey, you gotta work on your body, because at a certain point, there won't be a body to carry that mind. So you have to do something. And Teddy did everything. Teddy signed up to be a boxer. He did skiing. He did ice skating. He became physically strong. But one thing that Teddy did not stop doing, Teddy developed himself every single day. And not just his physique. Teddy developed his mind. Not funny really, but Teddy got shot. And the bullet, by really, really talented assassin, tried to kill Teddy. And whenever they shot him, the bullet got, I believe, in between his ribs somewhere, but it did not touch his heart. And he was supposed to give a 1 hour long speech. Teddy continued to give the speech until he finished. He was so resilient, and then they carried him to the hospital. He was so strong, and one of the most fearful American leaders, and that we can only get inspired from. Now, my favorite part of Teddy's story comes at the end of his life. Theodore Roosevelt died in his sleep. They woke up in the morning and he died. And now there's a very interesting part where his vice president is telling a story, say that death had to catch Teddy in his sleep. Because if Teddy was awake, he could have fought it. And he probably could have won. However, something important, whenever they lift up Teddy's body, they found a book just by his pillow. Teddy was learning even as he was going to leave us. Now, it's so important. Personal growth is the essence of leadership. To be an effective leader, you must believe that the leadership position you receive is merely an invitation to grow. If you do that and become a lifetime learner, this is John Maxwell speaking, you will continually increase your influence over time, and you will make the most of your leadership potential, no matter how great or small it might be. So important. Now, the fourth thing he's talking about is a leadership position allows potential leaders to shape and define their leadership. This is why you are placed to be a leader. It's so you can glean the surface, the area. You can explore the land. You can know what are the borders. You can know your people. So you are given access to leadership. When you are elected, when you are placed, when you are appointed, you are given an opportunity, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, because when you fail badly in a leadership, it's very hard to get back up. When your reputation has gone as the boss, it's very hard to win back those hearts. So it's so important that you take advantage of this part, of this level of leadership whenever you're given a position. It's so important that you take full advantage of that and use it to develop yourself and to become a better version or a stronger leader and to create influence. So leadership is much less what you do, says John Maxwell, and much more about who you are. Leadership goes with identity. Leadership look into your values, and I'm going to be talking about it here in a little bit. And to pack things up back together, John Maxwell said, in a nutshell, leadership hard experience has taught me that real leadership is about understanding yourself first, then using that to create a superb organization. When leaders don't have and maintain strong values, their actions impact many more people than just themselves. This is so important. We have seen that so many times in American politics, in world politics, and everywhere. We have seen a lot of programs, sport leaders, coaches, and so on, who lack the strong values. And whenever they lack those strong values, they end up ruining not just themselves, but even the people that they are supposed to lead. So it is very important. I cannot insist enough on your personal growth, on developing the values, and on growing yourself. And this is at every level. You need to grow as a leader. You need to grow mentally. You need to grow physically. You need to grow intellectually. You need to consistently grow. And even if you believe or have a faith, you need to grow spiritually for you to lead other people. It's so important because you are impacting other people's lives. You are the person that they see as a role model. It's so important when you are leading to develop yourself. Your values are the soul of your leadership, and they drive your behavior. So important. The values that you have, they are the essence of your leadership. People follow you because of who you are, because of what you represent in that society, in that community, or because of the values, because of your character. That is why people follow you. Before you can grow and mature as a leader, you must have a clear understanding of your values and commit to living consistently with them. You cannot just sleep. Whenever you are a leader, of course, you will tell me that, okay, that's a lot of pressure. I'm a leader. Even if I'm a leader, I'm supposed to have a life and so on. You are supposed to have a life, of course, but you are supposed to have a life dedicated, because every one of your action, everything that you do when you are a leader, it's like a billboard. It's a billboard, and everybody passes by and look at it. And what's funny is that whenever an organization is doing well, everybody clap for the leader. And whenever an organization is doing bad, everybody blames the leader. So you are the billboard. You are what everybody else is looking at. It is very important for you to develop the values, to develop the character, so you can be leading other people. This is so important for you, so you can lead other people. You need to develop great skills and to develop an amazing character for you to lead other people, since they will shape your behavior and influence that you are using to lead. Your value, again, influence, like create the influence. They shape your behavior. your value define who you are. So it's very important, if you're listening, that you start there, creating a foundation of great values so that you can use those values to lead other people. And he talked about 3 key beliefs or 3 key points of values that you need to develop if you are getting into leadership, when you're starting to lead other people. Ethical values. What does it mean to do the right thing for the right reason? What does that mean? Doing the right thing for the right reason. What does that mean? That is what ethical values that you develop, what they are. Relational values. How do you build an environment of trust and respect with other people? How do you develop your relationships? How do you connect with other people? What's your interaction with the outside world, with the society? Those values are so important when you're leading. Success values. What goals are worth spending your life on? What's your definition of success? I can share mine actually. I don't mind. And it's define who I am and what I stand for. We created Bora Technology as an impact-based company. I measure success by how many lives I've changed, or my action, how many lives my action have changed. It doesn't matter. Same thing with this podcast, as Marc-Alain and I were doing it. It doesn't matter how many people listen to us, but if there is one person who listens to us consistently and this podcast is changing their lives and it's helping them become better leaders, leading well in the society, creating influence among their peers, that's, for me, is the definition of success. My success is based on contribution. That is me. We put every single penny, every money that I gave on my pocket, we try to give that toward the development of other people, toward building an institution that in years from now will be helping millions of people worldwide. That, to me, is the definition of success. And it's all start by developing these values, these characters that I am striving so hard to embody, to have them in and to lock them up in such a way that they make a definition of who I am and the type of a person or the type of legacy that I'm going to be leaving. People with different personalities, as John Maxwell says, different approaches, different values, succeed not because one set of values or practices is superior, but because their values and practices are genuine. When you are doing something for who you are, when you are doing something because that's what the values that you promote, that you stand for, that brings success. And you can only be successful as far as your leadership goes. If your leadership is at a 3, you cannot be more successful than a 2. That's how it goes. You grow, the higher you go, the more successful you are, the higher your leadership is. Now, let's jump real quickly in the downside of position. Why position can now be a trap? Because now you've been appointed, you are given a position. A position, having a leadership position is often misleading. The mistake, and John Maxwell shares his personal story here. He said, my mistake was thinking that I had become a leader because of my position, instead of recognizing it as an opportunity to become a leader. I didn't understand that leadership was given to me but not yet earned by me. So important. Leadership given to me and not yet earned by me, because leadership is earned. You have to earn every heart, every soul of the person that you are leading. They have to give you the permission, and that we'll see that in the next episode. The permission, they have to give you a chance to lead them. He said, I was little, too much like the driver in a comic. That's why he's saying, who's just leading, just try to lead, and nobody actually is following. Leaders who rely on position, that's the second point, to lead often devalue people. I am your boss. You have to do what I want you to do. What I say is what's going to happen. Do you know who I am? Do you know? Positional leaders tend to use that all the time. Do you know who you're talking to? That is usually what they do, what the positional leaders end up doing, because they don't have influence. All they know is basically, who are you? What are you going to tell me? Do you know who I am? And now imagine they get crushed by somebody else without showing, do you know who I am too? Stuff like that. And it becomes, because nobody wants you to tell them, to ask them that question. Nobody. If you want to influence people, you don't want to show up and be like, do you know who I am? As soon as you say that, you lose your confidence in people, and you lose the opportunity for you to lead them. Positional leaders feed on politics. This is basically, they try to trick people. When you're a positional leader, you create traps, you create blackmails, you create the little things. Like positional leaders focus on control instead of contribution. As John Maxwell says, people focus so much on keeping people controlled. They're trying to control you. They create these traps. And this is at every level. It can be in a relationship, in a romantic relationship. I mean, it's February, it's the month of love. Everybody's celebrating love. But there are some people out there that are trapped. There are some people out there that have been placed in bondage, because the person who is supposed to show leadership is blackmailing them, is withdrawing. Okay, I won't give you this if you don't give this. I won't do this if you don't do this. It becomes a whole issue all around there. And that is a sign that a person is not really a true leader. Positional leaders place rights over responsibilities. And he quotes a poet here. He quotes T.S. Eliot, who asserted that half of the harm that is done in this world is due to the people, or to people who want to feel important. They don't want to do harm. They are absorbed in the endless struggle to think well of themselves. That's what positional leaders do. They do things to make themselves look and feel important. And he continued, he said that just because you have the right to do something as a leader doesn't mean that it is the right thing to do. They place rights over responsibilities. You have this responsibility. You have to be responsible as a leader. You have to take responsibility for your own actions. However, positional leaders don't do that. I have the rights, and they think so much of themselves instead of what's the addition that they're putting on their team. He makes another point. He said positional leadership is often lonely. This is the thing about life. And I think I was discussing with a friend, because this past week, it was a very challenging week for me in my research, and I was struggling. And imagine, basically, when you feel or you think that you've been starting to climb some of these ladders of leadership, you've created some influence, and other people look up to you and they look at what you want to do, what solution you can bring, and so on. And then you are stuck. You are very much stuck. And I was talking to a friend here and I was explaining to him what it means actually to be up here. Because we become the example that the society is using, especially for younger generation, people coming after us. They look at us as, oh, yeah, this person has achieved something, has reached a certain level. Which means what? Which means they start to elevate you to a certain level, some type of a mountain. And the higher you go, the harder it is for you to actually hold still. Think about a mountain. Think about climbing the highest mountain you can climb. The higher you climb, the harder it gets. Whenever you start getting up there, it becomes shaky. Even a baby can push you and you would fall. Now, you need to have people to sustain you so you can stay up there. But if you get airlifted and placed on the top of the mountain, and you are now finding yourself at the top, what would happen is that you don't have the support and you get lonely up there. And the next thing you know, you find yourself at the bottom. Why? Because you did not have the support. You are a positional leader. You are the top of the hill. You are just one. And it gets really lonely up there. Whenever you have the support of people, whenever you influence people and you are leading, at that time, you can actually have a good company up there. And as you keep on climbing, you climb with more people and you are getting more people to lead. And at the end of the day, you become the type of leader that everyone want to listen to or want to follow. Leadership or leaders who remain positional get branded and stranded. This is another key point. Whenever you get there, your name is just going to be CEO, but you have no value. It's just, in French, we used to say that whenever you have like empty, you see the barrel, an empty barrel, if you hit on it, it's going to make a lot of noise than a barrel that is completely full. So it's whenever you're up there and you don't have any influence, you become like an empty barrel. That's whenever people hit on it, it just make noise. CEO, call me CEO, call me doctor. Where I'm from is like, yeah, everybody want to be called a doctor. Engineer, give me a title, give me a position. Put me in a positional space. Even if the position in itself is completely empty. And he talks about a few more things here before we close down. Turnover is high for positional leaders. Here, whenever you are positional leaders, whenever you are a boss, people quit on you. People quit. A lot of people will leave will leave their job. People won't, because they are not there because they want to, because you are just paying them. Whenever they get another opportunity, they leave. Because you were a positional leader. If you are a leader who lead people by influence, who influence other people so you can lead them, you will find yourself with people who stay there and they stay there longer. And lastly, positional leaders receive people's list and not their best. People start doing the bare minimum. You start having people who are called, John C. Maxwell called them the clock watchers. What do the clock watchers do? The clock watchers, they look at the time, okay, is it 5 o'clock yet? Is it 5 o'clock yet? 4:30, they start packing their stuff. When it's 4:59, they're already at the door. 5 o'clock, they already clock out and they leave. They are not giving their best. When you're a positional leader, you cannot tell people to stay for an extra 3 hours of something at work because you want to achieve a deadline, because you have to report something. People won't be staying for overtime, especially unpaid overtime for a positional leader. When you're a positional leader, you don't have the space in people's lives, and that is detrimental for a leader. So lead by the position that you are given. Use that position in your advantage, and whenever you use it in your advantage, try now to start growing and try to start climbing until you can receive a permission to lead. And permission, that's going to be our next episode. So keep tuning in. Stay on. Listen to this and let us know if you have any questions. But stay on and stay listening, because the next episode, we're going to talk about permission. And we're going to go even deeper. We're going to talk about influence. How do you create influence? How do you talk to other people? How do you start conversations that matter with other people? How do you make other people feel important so they can follow you? It's so important. Now, don't just stay in the position. As we said, leadership is not a destination, it's an action. It's not just a noun, it's a verb. It's to lead. It's a process. And it's with that, ladies and gentlemen, that we're going to end today's episode. And tune in, follow us on social media, follow us on Unbounded Growth on Instagram and LinkedIn, and let us know if you have any questions, anything, and how we can serve you in any way possible. Reach out to us. Our email is info@theunboundedgrowth.com. Our website is theunboundedgrowth.com. Follow us on social media and give us all your feedback, and really great shout outs to Melfi Musokia all the way in Kenya. He has been listening to us all the time, and we are really thankful for all the feedback that he has given us, and everyone who has been listening to us. We have great stuff coming up this year. We have really amazing things that we're going to be contributing with in our community. We're going to be serving even more. Unbounded Growth has a really great future and amazing things that we are planning to help with in our society. And until next Tuesday, we hope that God bless you and you have a very wonderful week and you enjoy listening to this episode. And as always, let's grow together as leaders.